across the world. Check us out on Facebook, subscribe to our YouTube channel, or follow us on Twitter. We'll be here next week bringing you the hottest in African entertainment. See, number 1. Number 1.
Yes, you can take picture. What's your name, please, madam? Where are you from?
Ghana.
Oh, you're from Ghana. Okay, where do you know this man? Funny face. Yeah, she did this. I'm not sure.
No, Ghana man. Hey, sorry. Ghana woman in London. She's chilling. Yeah, you're very good. Okay, how's the family?
Family's okay.
For Obiawe. You're very negative. Last week. Yeah.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Hello. Bye.
I will see you later, Vivian. Come and say greeting to your people in Ghana.
Hello. Mepaje femi amasewa na meti Abrepo Junction. Meti amebusuafo nyina. Meti ame ma me na no. No atomo Abrepo Junction. Meti abi nua abi. Meti amebusuafo wa kropo nyina. Stay blessed.
Okay. Abramuno. Ama, bye yo. Yeah.
So I must say breast, so she said. Listen, we're gonna say. I shouldn't say this. This is bad. We're gonna say breast. Why are you going laughing at the back? We're gonna say breast. That breast, and I say, yep, I was chicken breast.
Okay. It's breast. The one we are going to chocolate.
Across the world. Check us out on Facebook, subscribe to our YouTube channel, or follow us on Twitter. We'll be here next week bringing you the hottest in African entertainment. See, number 1. Number 1.
Yes, you can take picture. What's your name, please, madam? Where are you from?
Ghana.
Oh, you're from Ghana. Okay, where do you know this man? Funny face. Yeah, she did this. I'm not sure.
Hello, good afternoon. You're welcome to Agenda on TV3. My name is Deborah Kwabla. Today we are looking at a preview of the 2018 budget. We know the budget will be read on the 15th of November 2017, and the Minister of Finance has already hinted that government intends to streamline its economic policy for 2018, also focus on education and health, and also evolve an agriculture Marshall Plan. What does that entail? We will do a preview of the discussion. We'll go for a break. When we come back, I'll introduce our guest and we'll get into the discussion. We'll be back shortly.
On behalf of the board and management of PZ Castles Ghana, we want to celebrate you for this major milestone and we want to wish you well in the several other decades ahead of you.
TV3 has helped to grow the GTV brand, especially on the platform called Ghana's Most Beautiful. We wish TV3 well. May TV3 continue to provide Ghanaians the best of entertainment and credible news.
On the occasion of the 20th anniversary celebrations of TV3, we wish you all the best as we believe we still have a lot in common. Once again, happy 20th anniversary to TV3.
And the drama TV3 Trinkwan, so many 20 years. We need TV3 for Juma 10 years. Yetamochi ewo Juma Debi Amudi. Yama TV3 Trinkwan, Yama Omo Finshapa.
The MovieCast Awards 2017 social media nominations platform for movie fans. In case you missed out on the MCA TV train,
just type MovieCast Awards 2017 to have access to our Facebook page. Go to photos and have access to the pictures of your favorite movie stars. Just like the picture you want to nominate, and that's it. You have powered your favorite movie star into the running to win the award for that category.
And now, the categories: Best Overall Actor, West Africa; Best Supporting Actor, West Africa; Best Comic Actor, West Africa; Best Seller, West Africa; Best Actor, Gollywood; Best Actor, Kumawood; Best Supporting Actor, Gollywood; Best Supporting Actor, Kumawood; Best Discovery, Gollywood; Best Discovery, Kumawood; Best Legendary Actor, Gollywood; Best Legendary Actor, Kumawood; Best Seller, Gollywood; Best Seller, Kumawood.
So go to our Facebook page, MovieCast Awards 2017, to begin your nominations now. MovieCast Awards West Africa 2017, a game changer and revolution in movie awards, where the voice of movie fans counts. This program is supported by Paladin Security Doors, Sasso Insecticide Spray and Coil, Dead Eye Security.
MovieCast Awards West Africa, coming soon on TV3. 10 ladies across the 10 regions of Ghana began the journey to the crown.
Goodbye. This is the end of the road.
6 evicted, 4 ready for the grand finale. What a journey. This Sunday on Ghana's Most Beautiful, join Johnny Hughes and MFR as they host a panel to discuss the journey so far. We look at the highs and lows, exciting and challenging moments, evictions and controversies, as well as the grand finale. Time is 8 p.m. on TV3. Please note that there will be no live show. Ghana's Most Beautiful, straight out of Ghana. Brought to you by Sasso Insecticide Spray and Coil, Camel, now from Carex, Bond Savings and Loans, Carnival Strawberry, Madar Powdered Soap, Enapa Mackerel, Onga Tablet and Seasoning, GTP, Still Timeless, Tabia Herbal Mixture, Oba Spaghetti, Remy Spices, Tenatet Vencare, Royal Drinks, Holy Trinity Spa and Health Farm, Arata Motors, Chris Beauty range of products, Deluxy Paint, Kenya Airways, the pride of Africa, Satguru Travels, a complete travel solution, Davis Palace, and Time Herbal Mixture.
You're welcome back. This is Agenda on TV3. We are looking at the 2018 budget review. With me in the studio to do this discussion from far left, we have Mr. Edward Kariwe. He's the General Secretary of Agricultural Workers Union. In the middle, we have Professor Cletus Dodono. He's an economist and the CEO of Cledot Consult. On my immediate left, we have Dr. Magnus Ebo Duncan. He's an economist at the Institute of Fiscal Studies. Welcome, gentlemen, to Agenda. We'll start with you, Doc. The 2017 budget. Let's do a little review of the 2017 budget. In your view, has government performed creditably or satisfactorily in relation to the macroeconomic indicators?
Okay, looking at the macroeconomic indicators, judging by the half-year figures, you see that for the macroeconomic indicators, much has been achieved. For instance, let's look at GDP. If you compare half-year 2017 with half-year 2016, you have a growth of 7.8, and that includes oil. And oil increased by, I think, 105% over that of first year 2016. But if you take non-oil growth, that one is 4%, and government has targeted 4.6. So since this is half year, we can say it will be, it will be achieved on them. But looking at 7.8 overall, and government targeting 6.3%, I think there's some indication that that macroeconomic target can be achieved. Let's look at inflation. Government is targeting ND inflation of 11.2. The October inflation 11.6, so which means it's getting closer. And let's look again at average inflation for the year. Government is targeting 12.4. And if you look at the average inflation from January to October, it's 12.5, which is almost achieved. And looking at our reserves, the number of months of import, if you take import cover, if you take the first half of the year, it's 4.1%. 4.1 months, which is above government target of 3 months for the whole year. Where we have problems is the revenue and then expenditure targets. That's our way off. And if you take tax revenue, for instance, it's a huge drop of about 75% of the target for the total revenue. You see? So when it comes to revenue, you see that government performance has been very poor. Domestic revenue. Yeah, the taxes are not coming.
Prof, we need the revenue to come in to deal with a lot of the bold initiatives that government initiated this year. Do you feel that the tax, the reduction in tax and the exemptions were overly ambitious? Because some say that is an area that needs to be watched.
Well, you know, normally when we talk about revenue, our mind jumps to tax revenue. And we saw an array of taxes over the previous years, which were building up to the point that financial sector also has VAT on transactions and incomes. But you can see a big break with the past, where most of the taxes have been demolished, termed the nuisance taxes. So it will take some time for the system to pick up. Normally, when tax policies are put in place, they are linked. There are two types of taxes generally, the ad valorem and then the specific, where here and there, because of certain objectives, a fixed tax is put. It will take some time. First, these taxes, they have to go through the system. And when the budget came, the parliament has to legitimatize this by their oversight responsibility. So it takes time to sink in. And if, for instance, GDP, we are doing fairly all right, but we expect to put in more effort, then it means by the ad valorem, the taxes will not be coming as fast as we want. Let businesses peak then. So I don't think we are over ambitious. It's a lot of, shall I call it, change happening. Like TV3, you are undertaking a corporate restructuring now. During that time, it will be unfair that certain expectations can ride above. They may just be around the target or even maybe below. But let the changes come. Let everybody settle. Let's charter the course. You're right. So I don't think it's too much ambition.
It's not too much ambitious, as you have said, but then how do we rake in the revenue? Because clearly government is doing below target. And this revenue is needed to deal with a lot of the issues that are currently ongoing.
And I agree with you. It is very important that we find ways of raking in target. Much of the revenue also comes from different sources. And one of the hurdles in the way is an array of exemptions. I think you are aware that discussions about the exemptions and reconsideration of which ones to continue and which ones to keep, that debate is still on. So it will take a lot of time, not very many years or whatever, for things to settle in. I believe that some of the exemptions, which is around about 2.5% of the GDP, just exemptions alone. Our overall tax is around 20, 21, 22% of the GDP per annum. So if you see the exemptions alone, if we're able to solve those problems, I think we should be able to speak.
Yes, you want to react briefly in an hour.
I think because of all this, that's why the Institute of Fiscal Studies, the post-budget 2017, we said that the revenue targets are overly ambitious. Because with this restructuring, which Prof. rightly said that it will take time for the gains to come in, then we expected that the revenue, increases over the 2016 one shouldn't be so much, about 30-something%.
Isn't it a matter of trying to match the revenue with the expenditure? Because, of course, we know we had free SHS and a few other things that we're going to implement. So
yes,
isn't the match very important? Because then you need to match your revenue with your expenditure budgets.
Yes. So that is what the government is doing. But what I'm saying is that the revenue targets that were set, and with this tax policy, the adjustments and others, which we all agree that looking at why these taxes, why the government tried to review these taxes and others, to let producers expand. And the expansion cannot take place all of a sudden. It has to take time, as Prof said. So next year and then the next, you see that these tax revenues are coming. But for the 2017 budget, we think that it was overly ambitious, because if you are withdrawing this tax, it takes time, as Prof said, for those things to pick up in the economy. Yeah.
Mr. Kariwai, we are looking at the macro indicators and they are looking good. How about the micro? Because that's really what people feel in their pockets.
Well, one may think that it is the micro that sometimes leads to the macro, but the other way around could be the case, where when the macro indicators are right, then it trickles down to change the micro situation. Now, it will take time for the effect to be realized on the micro if we start to reform the system from the macro level. Now, when you talk about inflation comes down or targets are met, that may not immediately necessarily translate to the macro level. That will not immediately make people feel it in their expenditure. But if it is sustainable over a period, the aggregate effect will now impact heavily on the micro, on the individual. Now, so the restructuring of the economy through the usage of the taxes and so on, we have to be clear about the effects of those taxes, short-term effect and long-term effect. Now, the budget indicators are meant for short-term. Within 1 year,
another budget
I am going to achieve so much. So when you give a target and the target is not met, you need to understand why those targets are not met, so that you don't repeat the consequences in the subsequent years. So, well, but everything revolves around revenue. So if your revenue targets are low, are not met, then that is a serious area of concern to look at what is it that we have done or we have not done for us to fall short of the target. It could be that, yes, you have done well, but except that you were over-ambitious. You know, it could be from that concern. It could also be that, yes, you are not over-ambitious, but something that you needed to have done, you did not do it well. So in your subsequent budget, if you do those things well, then you can correct it. So this is how I look at it. So it has short-term effect and then the long-term effect.
Yeah, Prof, we've talked many years around widening the tax net and bringing all the people into the net so that we can increase at least tax revenue. Do you feel that the 2017 budget and implementation so far has given the indication that we are widening the net?
Definitely. Definitely. Even the modest revenue achieved, to me, with the huge amount of demolitions, around loss of about 1 billion Ghana cedis. If you recalibrate it into our normal targets, you see that even then it's coming up. But he has said something which is very interesting. You know, when we are talking about ad valorem taxation, and we are talking about income tax and so on and so forth, it takes some time. This economy had been a consumption economy for a very long time. We import everything, in quotes. Now that we are into a paradigm shift, into trying to restructure the economy, the gears will take place. You know, some of the programs like Zongo development programs, you have to go through the legislative and so on and so forth. Parliament again has to give its accent before you now operationalize it and then you kick off. So there will be delays here and there in the flow of income. And if we say a project, a policy is over ambitious, it has a certain meaning, as though even inherently it is unachievable. But when you look at the trend of things, it's taking longer time for certain things to settle in. It's taking a little bit of time for interest rate to go down as we expect. You can see that even the policy rate of the central bank monetary committee is also going down. It's taking time. So I don't want, that's why I'm avoiding the word over ambitious. Yes, ambitious, yes, of course, especially when you expect. And you heard the president said that we are in a hurry. So when you are doing targeting ex ante, you are making some very serious assumptions, serious expectations, and so on and so forth.
But those must be achievable expectations.
No, I'm talking about the over-ambition and ambition. I want to be ambitious. But I don't want to be over-ambitious. I must be ambitious within realities. There are ups and downs. There are +5, -5 in our targeting. We have errors. We make mistakes.
And in your view, was government ambitious or over-ambitious?
Oh, if you say government is ambitious, that one I'm very comfortable with it.
But not overly ambitious.
Yes, over-ambitious. First and foremost, it is right for TV3 to be very ambitious, trying to put things together, reform, restructure, to meet the current frontline adverts, strategies, shows, music, and so on. So I will never blame TV3. I will never blame any country. You know, in 1965, when Singapore pulled out of Malaysia, they were a state. And then the British loved them. Lee Kuan Yew was overwhelmed. What the hell is going on? But you know what trick he did? He created jobs for the girls and boys. The private sector was encouraged.
That's one area that, as a country, we constantly have talked about creating jobs for the youth.
And we have started now.
A teeming youth willing to work, and there's no work for them.
That's right. We reach 48%. That also would take some time to open up. We have a lot of difficulties in our country. Investors face a whole lot of difficulties in this country.
Because the system hasn't changed much. Doc, we are trying to change a lot of things. But the system that we operate in this country, doing business, cost of business, and all these things haven't changed much.
Yeah. Government is trying to change some of these things. And if you talk about the structure of the economy, itself haven't changed much. Now, the services sector is the sector that is leading GDP. And there hasn't been proper linkages between the services sector, agriculture, and then industry. That's where the problem is. And if industry, because the economy leapfrogged from agriculture to services without industrialization. So the growth of the services sector, the consumption, most of them are imported. You see, most of them are imported. So if you cannot produce these things yourself, now we have this communication, mobile phones, do we manufacture them here? At least we should be adding value by even assembling them. You see, there are a whole lot of these things, this modernization, which we import the gadgets that are being used to do, because we left industrialization behind, moved from agric straight to services. And I think that's the more reason why the government is trying to bring in this one district, one factory,
for food,
and so on and so forth, to try and then fix these things. And that is why we also have this unemployment problem. Let's look at the education sector. We have a lot of private universities now, but look at the courses. Or banking, finance, and then, yes, humanities, and those things straight away, it means that you have to go to the services sector to work. You see, and now that there has been a lot of automations there, banking and finance, so private investors, almost all of them are doing banking and finance. At the time that we are using ATMs and internet banking, and so if you produce these people, where do you want them to go to work? You see, so we have to reorient our education curriculum, start from basic level, so that we transfer knowledge that makes people be self-employed or be entrepreneurs themselves, rather than being salaried workers. So this one of the areas, the linkages between services, agric, and then industry is very poor. Unless that thing is broken, the unemployment problem will
continue. Let's go to Mr. Kariwe. In 2017, we know the agriculture sector suffered a huge issue with the fall armyworm and all that. In your view, is this going to affect the indicators that were set for 2017?
Well, let me indicate that the agricultural sector is a huge sector with many subsectors. It is true that the crop subsector plays a significant part of the whole agricultural sector. Now, the planting for food and jobs is also just a subset of the subsector,
the crop subsector.
Subsector. Now, that means that only 5 crops are involved. And the fall armyworm indeed affected mainly the maize. So if there's going to be a setback, then it will be in the...
What are the indications? How is it looking like?
Well, some of the farms were able to recover. Farmers, I mean, they recovered depending on the level of destruction. Some were heavily destroyed, such that they could not recover. Now, the other thing too is that the second season, maize, they also suffered much. But the first one got recovered, but the second one had a challenge. So it depends on the... We have to wait for the aggregate to see and see how that will turn out. But certainly, we will not be hitting the target that we had given ourselves. But the overall could still, the effect may not be so much on agriculture because it is only 5 crops and it is only 1 crop that is mainly affected by the fall armyworm.
But without that, we could have ended up with a bumper harvest, and that could have brought down the cost of maize. And of course, this then will affect the micro. A lot of people eat maize, and people will feel it in their pocket. And so, irrespective of how the aggregates end up, isn't it important that what happened still would have dented the achievement of those targets a little bit?
Well, the bumper harvest, if you look at prices in the market now, prices are going up, particularly the northern part of the country, because of they got hit not only by the fall armyworm, but also by a drought within 3 weeks. You know, when they needed rains for the maize and cereals and others to tassel, then the rain did not come. Now, all that put together affected will affect the output. But I'm only saying that I suspect that we will have a little less than what we would have had. But as to whether that will affect a bumper harvest, when you talk about a bumper harvest, it's just quite a short term. During harvest, we often get bumper harvest during harvesting period, which could be within 1 month or so. You get bumper harvest. Beyond that, there's no bumper harvest, in the sense that farmers would have gone to throw out their produce in the market at a very low price, and then after that, they have nothing to sell again. Then prices shoot up. You see, so the bumper harvest will always come, but it will come. Whether it will be prolonged, it will be severe or short-term, will depend on a number of factors. And it will also depend on whether farmers can store the produce. And, you know, when they change the trajectory, I don't know what this school feeding program and then this free SHS, the linkage is. If the linkage is strong, whereby they could immediately, you know, go to the farms to pick the foodstuffs for the free SHS, then of course you can expect the so-called bumper harvest to reduce, to minimize. But if that linkage is not good, then of course the bumper harvest will be severe. And when it is severe, it's with agricultural produce, even the consumer does not, get much. For instance, when the price of tomatoes goes down, though you can't buy much of it and store, so you still buy just a little more than what you would have bought, and then leave the rest. So you have double effect, which is negative. The consumer does not benefit more. The producer too does not benefit. But it has a long-term effect on both of them, which is again negative. to the extent that the producer will reduce production in subsequent farming season, and then that will also now turn out to have low production, and it will again affect the consumer.
Isn't that because we do not have industries to produce them? But you could hold that for me. We'll go for a break. When we come back, we will look at the preview of the 2018 budget. I would ask our guests to give us some insights. What are the main pillars that we should be expecting in the 2018 budget? We'll go for a break and we'll come back shortly and continue the discussion. We'll be right back.
If you seek affordability, quality, and durability, tap into the variety of furniture and home appliances from King's Furniture Company Limited. We are the ultimate in office, home furniture, and appliances. You can't go wrong with the beautifully designed furniture and appliances from our showrooms. We deliver at your doorstep within Accra and Sekindi Takwari. King's Group of Companies set a standard.
Your home is the place you long to be forever. Ghana, get ready for your one-stop destination of choice in perfecting that dream home. It is the biggest super discounted fair ever, dubbed the Ghana Home and Lifestyle Fair. This is the biggest platform for all manufacturers, dealers, importers, suppliers of electronic appliances and home decor and accessories, lifestyle products, homeowners, and related home services such as internet, security, and insurance companies to showcase their products and services to the public. Date Friday 24th to Sunday 26th November 2017 at Golden Tulip Hotel, Accra. To book your stand or to sponsor the Ghana Home and Lifestyle Fair, please call 0244-627-609 or pick up your registration form at TV3 premises, Kanda. The Ghana Home and Lifestyle Fair is sponsored by Golden Tulip Hotel, Accra, media partners, and supported by The Mirror, powered by 3FM 92.7 TV3, and brought to you by Planet One Multimedia.
Action. Start Times is 1 year, so you feel it generous. Generous! 18 year dropping, and you free decoder part 2. Although Start Times there, you turn low, now you're shining high. Part 1, now you have 2 months super bouquet. Part 2 idiot, over to your 1 month super bouquet. Sister Ghana, pet. Now you're the HD combo decoder, no app is so free. Yo, Start Times, so I do novellas, series, live matches, so you're trying to HD. It's a free this thing only on Start Times. Start Times, turn your view.
Previously on GMB.
I am saving Sewa.
Now, finally, it's the Big Four for the final. How did Zainab, Baba, Sewa, and Nana blow away the competition to make it to the grand finale of GMB 2017? This week on GMB, we intend to find out with a recap of the highs and the lows of the season so far. Make a date this Sunday on TV3 to recap the emotions, the excitement, and the drama. GMB 2017, straight out of Ghana.
Time is 8 p.m. on TV3. Please note that there will be no live show. Brought to you by Sasso Insecticide Spray and Coil. Camel, now from Carex. Bond Savings and Loans. Carnival Strawberry. Madar Powdered Soap. Enapa Mackerel. Onga Tablet and Seasoning. GTP, still timeless. Tabia Herbal Mixture. Oba Spaghetti. Remy Spices. Tenatet Vencare. Royal Drinks. Holy Trinity Spa and Health Farm. Arata Motors. Chris Beauty range of products. Deluxe Paint. Kenya Airways, the pride of Africa. Satguru Travels, a complete travel solution. Davis Palace. And Time Herbal Mixture.
You're welcome back. This is still Agenda on TV3. We are looking at the 2018 budget preview. We'll start with you, Doug. The 2018 budget, what are the main pillars you are expecting?
The main pillars, according to what the finance minister said, and then also some of the programs they've started launching, like the agriculture Marshall Plan, and then I think that education to look at education also, and then you have also this industrialization, especially this one district, one factory. And I think those are the main pillars there. And government has also initiated some programs which is expected to boost revenue, domestic revenue, like this paperless transactions at the ports, like this using technology in, this tax administration and others, and this Ghana Post GPS, and they are bringing all this in order to help collect more taxes. And that one, we're also talking about widening the tax net at the informal sector level, where I expect revenues to come from, especially for the local government setup, will be property rates. Yeah, I think
that's where the MMDAs have not done too well.
It's very important that you collect the property rate, make sure those living there see what that money is being used for. Their roads, so that one, if it's given to the local government sector to do it, and then account it properly in the end to Controller Accountant General to, as part of the taxes. Some of these taxes that are collected
already in charge. The MMDAs are supposed to be collecting property taxes.
They are not doing much. When I was staying at Ashari, I left there to 2015. 5-bedroom house with a study room, a very big compound. The property rate was 50 cedis a year. A year. And if you collect this rates, what can you do? So if they're able to collect this rates and others, I think pressure on the central government to doing a lot of things at the local government level will cease. You see, so most of these things should be channeled through the local government level to also do their part. Otherwise, the central government cannot be collecting all the taxes for us. It will be very expensive.
I'm surprised you are talking about channeling it through the local level. They already are in charge. The districts are supposed to collect the local taxes. They are supposed to do. We know recently AMA did re-evaluation of some of the indicators that they use to calculate their property rates and things like that. So shouldn't the local government authorities be more proactive in collecting local taxes?
How many of the districts have that capacity to do it? You see? So if they strengthen the capacities of the different district assemblies, they can do it. You go to some of the assemblies and they don't have the requisite amount of staff to make it a full assembly. You see? So if they will be allowed to employ experts and others who will be doing this valuation and then others for them, that is it.
Prof, why do the tax nets and empowering the local authorities to collect the revenue that we so dearly need as a country? What else should we do to the MMDAs? Because they already have the backing, the support to collect.
Personally, I think over the years, we have not really achieved fiscal decentralization. And by this, I mean effective fiscal decentralization. Some of the intentions are very clear. So if we are talking about taxes, we are talking about different levels of taxes. So the MMDAs, they really have a lot of challenge. The first one is what he is talking about as the capacity. And then also we expect them to be given initial, or shall I say, real, effective authority. We have, it's like at the national level, if we really empower the MMDAs, then we'll lose fiscal authority. We will lose our authority over finances.
The we meaning central government?
Central government. It has always been the case. And it's worse in some countries, actually. But Ghana is no exception.
So typically in the budget year such as this, we have the budgets, the Minister of Finance reading the budget in 3 days on Wednesday. Is there anything we should expect that we'll start looking at MMDAs and tax collection and all? Are you expecting anything like that?
I do, especially for the internal IGF, internally generated fund. I do expect that we should give more authority. And normally when we say authority in public administrative settings, we are talking about capacity. Capacity to effectively address the issues, understand the local difficulties. No, I'm not surprised that a big building like that, but maybe the location can be the reason why the rate is so low on that property. But it could also be, has the property, what we call property, land property, ownership authority. We have some government buildings, we even have some private buildings. You cannot say this is the owner of
this property.
At Redco. I joined Redco long time ago. I still have my house. I can use my own property as a basis of enhancing my credibility in the bank to obtain extra loans. And then you're gonna charge me that I have a property when I don't even have any title to
but if the property rate is worth 50 cedis, then it tells you the worth of that property generally, and so
no,
that cannot
do
be
they have the capacity of evaluation?
That's another
you see,
problem.
when I say to authorize an MMDA to actually go out there, that capacity building Dr. Bob Duncan is referring to comes to the fore. They must learn how to appraise. They must be sure that the people who are in that are either the owners or the owners are elsewhere. There is title. In Ghana, when it is title time, then it's like playing a game with the devil. So you take them through that, then those who can evaluate, and then the commercial viability and so on, then they are able to come out with a more realistic property rate. And then when you come out with property rate, you are expected to do some certain things. You see, compliance is not exogenous. Compliance is, you tax me for electricity. That public, when you see the tariff, the bill, they are in 3 layers. But also, in addition to that, you are paying for public light. And we are very much...
Public light, we are told, is for ceremonial streets?
Not only. Not only.
Where else? Because then we don't have these street lights around.
No, some places we do have street lights, madam. We do have street lights, but they will never light. Since before Jesus Christ came, the street lights have lights, but
then the lights
don't come on.
If you could please hold that for me, the Institute of Economic Affairs, IEA, is cautioning government against over-reliance on agric as government gets ready for the 2018 budget. Mr. Dr. Osei Sibe tells TV3 Business News that the move by government to focus heavily on agriculture is unnecessary. Let's listen to his submission, and then we'll come back to the studio. Mr. Edward Kariwa is already smiling. He will give us a reaction after that. We'll be back shortly.
Policymakers have been asked to allocate not less than 10% of the government's annual budget to the agriculture sector. Such a move, they believe, would help increase production in the agri sector by at least 6% annually. Government has subsequently indicated that it will prioritize agriculture and health in the 2018 budget as a measure to grow the economy and create jobs. But the Institute of Economic Affairs says too much investment has already been made into the agri sector this year.
If you look at the planting for food and job creation, you could see that a lot of investments have gone into agricultural production. And this year too, the rains have been quite good. So we're really looking at a very good performance from agri. We shouldn't only focus on agricultural production or the farming processes and increase harvest. I don't think that is the way to go.
Dr. Sesibe insists luring private sector participation into the agri sector is enough to sustain growth.
We need investments, sustainable investments into the area, and the private sector are playing a pivotal role in that respect. I think that is what is needed now, and that will call for government building a very competitive infrastructure along that value chain.
Meanwhile, Besemanche, New Kanja III, is also worried lack of proper structures by successive governments to drive growth is a bane of the country's problems.
We've had the statistics about other countries which were far below us during the independence era. But these countries are now way ahead of us in terms of their economic development. And I think we need to really think hard. We need to do the proper structuring.
You're welcome back. You heard Dr. Osei-Sibi of the IEA. Mr. Edward Kariwa, what's your reaction to what both gentlemen have said?
Well, I think what I understand him to mean is that you don't over rely on agriculture to the detriment of others. And you see, the growth of agriculture is indeed dependent on other sectors, particularly manufacturing. So if you do not look at manufacturing along the line, and then also look at the market, because in this country, it is not necessarily the case that we don't produce enough. You know, it's just that we overproduce. And overproduction, as I indicated earlier on, could be short-term. And that is what we've always been hearing. So in order to continue to increase agricultural production, then you have to make sure that when it is, whatever is produced is channeled into the market. And how would that market be created? It will be created by domestic consumption and then by industrial use. The industrial part of it, which is manufacturing, is not performing well. So you could see that over the years, because manufacturing has been declining, eventually agricultural production also follows in its decline. You know, if it continues in that direction, manufacturing will come to a negative, agriculture will follow. But when you begin to see manufacturing to go growth up, then you also see agriculture going up. And the two must be together, you see.
How do you expect the planting for food and jobs, the agricultural Marshall Plan, one district, one factory, to be all linked together so that what you are describing is practicalized?
Well, one of the problems of the agriculture sector is that there are many policies that are running everywhere. Some are duplicating, you know. We need to actually have a Marshall Plan to put them together and then be able to be selective. We can't do everything within the agriculture sector. We can't. We may choose to say that, look, we want to focus on maize production and become an exporter of maize. We may also see that we want to add rice to it because for so many reasons. We are having a growing economy, the urbanization, middle income population, and given that they will consume more of rice. So if we don't focus on rice production, we have to import to supplement that. And also important will mean that we'll spend more foreign exchange. So we may use these reasons to focus on what? Rice as against others. So we shouldn't also think that we can cover almost everything that is produced in agriculture, because we can't be a master of everything in agriculture. Today, Ghana is lacking...
You've mentioned rice and maize. Any other that you feel is critical?
Yes, it's critical. For instance, Ghana imports so much tomato puree from outside the country. Yet, our own farmers here cry day in, day out. I was listening to TV3 report, and that around Techman and Tia or whatever, there is a tomato glut already, you know. Yet, when you come to our market, it's all full of what? Imported tomato puree. How are we going to balance that? So it's not just about increasing the production. If you increase the production and you have not put in place, and we are saying that, of course, the one district, one factory, they will say that is the answer. But that will take a long time. It is going to take some time for the one district, one factory to actually impact seriously on the economy. Because you can't build an industry, a factory over 1 week or 1 month or 2 months. You can't do that.
But if you have a full year's budget coming up, what's your expectation? If we have 1 or 2 factories, which ones will be those critical factories that should be put up so that, for instance, this tomato glut that we have, it's a shame. It's a shame. Big shame.
My expectation is that, of course, policies, you need to continue to deal with them. So once government has focused on agriculture, we would like them to refine the policies. 1 year of implementation of, say, the Planting for Food and Jobs, they would have come out with some challenges which they need to reform, and then that should be reformed in the agriculture. Now, the one village, one dam concept, which is just, we are told now, it's not necessarily that every village must have a dam, but that water must be made available for farmers. That should also be looked at. And then we'll see how much of it can be done within the next year. And then so that we can build on it and target ourselves that within the next 5 years, of course, we should be able to irrigate, say, 10% of our farmland.
And those will be the critical areas that budget should focus on.
Areas. Yeah.
Doc, free SHS is here to stay. We have done 1 year of implementation for first years. This year we are going into 2 years. What is your expectation in the budget in a few minutes?
It's a challenge
for us.
It's a challenge to the government, and once the government wants to do it, the government will find money to do it. My problem is still using the old curriculum for this SHS. If you are not careful, we'll be sitting on an unemployment time bomb.
What's your challenge with the curriculum?
If you look at the curriculum, when you come out of SHS, can you be, a person which you can set up your own small thing to work with? We are just using this English, maths, and other. But we are not concentrating on the technical and then the vocational aspects, where when you come out, you'll be able to. So if at the secondary school level, I couldn't even pay my fees, what about the university? So in the next 3 years...
But the JHS and SHS system is actually supposed to introduce practical studies, vocational and technical...
But are there practical studies that are being...
So is it the curriculum or the way we deal with?
The curriculum itself, and if you look at the secondary schools, we have few technical secondary schools. And do they even...
Are you sure?
Yes. They are fewer than the other that do this general thing. And how many of them go to them and then see what are the tools and others there, and what practical things are they doing?
Look, I'm asking... continuing questions on this one, because we have a history in this country where governments come, they change the curriculum, another government comes and they change the curriculum. And so education is one area that we have used politics to distort a few times. And so moving forward, what is your expectation in the 2018 budget moving forward?
Already, I feel that government is doing something on this curriculum thing.
Okay, so curriculum review.
Curriculum review, government is doing it, yes. And then also these dormitories and others, government is also trying to, put in, more buildings and others there. So I expect that there will be heavy investment
in that area.
Infrastructure.
You go to some schools and you find a lot of bed baths in these schools. So and generally we should deal with these things.
And that is not only it. If you look at capital expenditure for this year, it has gone very low. And if you look at how we've had rains this year, most of the untarred roads are damaged. So government has to repair all of these roads. Otherwise, the food and others will remain in the bush.
In the bush, and will not come to the city.
Exactly.
Prof, in a minute, please make it very, very brief for me. How do we plug the loopholes? Because that's, for as long as we have leakages, we are not going to get it into the basket.
You can't plug the loopholes in a year. Those are issues. And then when we come to the specifics, I like the way you are trying to get us focused on the key areas. You know, a country where you are managing, you must also be looking at the medium term. We have a vision, and the vision that has come is not what we policy teachers would like to see, unfortunately. But we have medium-term plans, and some of our discussion here is not on medium-term plan.
It's sounding short-term.
It should be on. They belong to medium-term, but we are putting them in short-term. Curriculum change is not something that we do overnight, and it's rather the number of years, duration, which our political frontliners have been changing. And I want to expect that they shouldn't change the number of years for senior high schools. It's enough. They should focus on availability of books. They should focus on supervision. They should make sure that other logistics that support teaching are there. We have a lot of technical schools. And I tell you, most of them do not have what it takes
to teach the technical subjects.
Yes. It does. They don't have it. Maybe I have multiple areas of experience. I'm into construction economics, what you call in Ghana civil engineering, and I know what is there. I still teach project management at University of Ghana.
Round it up for me.
So what I'm trying to say is that some of the things are there. We have a wonderful educational system, but we don't have what it would take to deliver a good top flyer. We are very mediocre in our...
So, Prof, in the 2018 budget, you're expecting some changes in that area?
I want to see them in the medium-term plan. And I want us to start discussing so that we do a 3-tier discussion rather than just budget. Okay. Let's see what medium-term we which the budget is annualizing.
Prof, we have to go. Thank you very much. Thank you so much. That was Professor Cletus Dodonu. We had Mr. Dr. Magnus Ebo-Duncan and Mr. Edward Kariwe. Thank you so much for being part of this discussion. Thanks to the production team. We are expecting the budget on Wednesday 15th November 2018, and they have mentioned some of the highlights. My name is Deborah Kwabla. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. God willing, same time next week, we'll be here. And have a productive week this week. Bye.
Do you know